Nation, what is up? What is up? What is up? The Ravens showed us that they are one of the top teams in the NFL last night. Joe Burrow goes down. Raiders take on the Miami Dolphins. What happens if they win that game? What happens? It is Factor Craft Friday here, guys, of Week 11 NFL season. Steelers take on the Browns. Jaguars take on the Titans. Oh, man, it is time to get excited for some live, raw, uncut NFL talk. But first,
and now, Mike's thoughts.
Joe Burrow goes down last night with an apparent wrist injury. Earlier in the night on social media, the Bengals tweeted a picture, a video of Joe Burrow wearing a cast getting off the plane. Now, the NFL is investigating of why Joe Burrow wasn't on the injury report. They are out there figuring out why Joe Burrow's wrist was not listed as a possible injury. Then I got to thinking here. You know, we, in this world, we always want to do HIPAA laws, right? We always have to say what is right, what is wrong, injuries, whatever, right? But what is the big deal when somebody is not listed on the injury report? I believe it was a couple weeks ago. Was it the running back for the Carolina Panthers? Was like Miles Sanders maybe was sick, and they didn't list him on the injury report as being sick. Like, what is the big deal? Like, my man got sick, right? Just because the injury report is posted like on Thursday doesn't mean he didn't get sick on a Saturday afternoon, right? But I don't understand what the big deal is about listing these injuries. If it's such a minor injury, obviously Joe Burrow was able to play until he got sacked, right? And then he landed on that wrist awkwardly. But what is the big deal? I'm just why would I want to list that my quarterback has a hurt wrist, right? Why do I want to put out there hey, Joe Burrow's throwing hand is not 100%. Be sure to attack his throwing shoulder as much as you can, right? To me, that kind of seems to put you behind the 8 ball a little bit. Now, when there are concussions out there, when there are season-ending injuries, of course, put those on their injury report. Of course, put those out there for the general public to know. Yes, I get it at that point. But if it's a wrist injury on a quarterback, do I want to expose that? Do I want to say, hey, Baltimore Ravens, good old buddies, good old rivals of the AFC North, my quarterback is not 100%. He has a right wrist injury. Oh, by the way, he's right-handed. That would have changed the whole dynamic of the Baltimore Ravens defense. You would have saw a lot more pressure. You would have seen the Baltimore Ravens putting people in the box over and over and over again because they're like, hey, Joe Burrow can't throw the ball deep. He has a hurt-ass wrist. I don't know. We're going to get a lot more into Joe Burrow and the Baltimore Ravens moving forward here, guys. But first, cue that intro.
You don't want to be every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that thing. While I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who's coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, then listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Stripes like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're after dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzzer beaters. We coming live, all 3 speakers go.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckhouse with the Man Hour. Be sure to follow me on the old Facebook page at manhour_Buck. Because you know what, guys? I put out some of the most goodest, bestest stuff out there hands down. But guys, check it out. Follow me at manhour_buck. Of course, follow Hoffy as well at manhour_Hoffy. They're on the old Facebook page. But if you guys haven't done so already, hit that like button. Right now, I don't care what you're doing. Hit that like button, spam it, spam it, spam it, because that is the best thing you guys can do for us is to, hit that like button. Hitting the like button triggers the algorithm, pushes it out to the masses, and bada bing, bada boom, we have like 100,000 viewers. I wish, but, it is what it is. Also, guys, head over to manhourradio.com or manhour.co. We do got some new merch that is dropping. I just was informed that the link is broken. I'll get on the website and figure out why the link is broken, but the new merch is out there. We got Man Hour logo merch out there. It is a nice little sloppy paint job across the chest. It says Man Hour NFL Talk with some footballs, live, raw, uncut. It is a very, very sexy t-shirt. It is so sexy that even my wife's like, hey, give me a blue one. Matter of fact, give me a white one. Damn it, give me a red one too. She wanted all three colors, and I got her all three colors. They'll be in next week, and bada bing, bada boom. It is going to be magic, because when the wife supports you, everybody supports you, right? But guys, we do got a great show for you on today. It is Fact or Crap Friday. We got to talk about the Las Vegas Raiders take on the Miami Dolphins. Fact or crap there. Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Tennessee Titans. The Jaguars got to win this game. Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cleveland Browns. Who needs that game more? Also, guys, what game are you looking forward to most this weekend? When we look at the weekend NFL landscape, week 11, what game are you most intrigued about, guys? Let us know in the comments down below. But first, we have to talk about the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Cleveland Browns. Last night, guys, the Baltimore Ravens beat down the Cleveland Browns 34-20, and stop that. It's not the Cleveland Browns. It is not the Cleveland Browns. It is the Cincinnati Bengals. My bad. Pause, rewind the tape, delete that clip. Damn it, Buck. Figure yourselves out. But guys, let's start over here. Last night, the Baltimore Ravens beat down the Cincinnati Bengals 34-20. Joe Burrow goes down with an apparent wrist injury. Mark Andrews is probably out with a season-ending ankle injury. Lamar Jackson hurt his ankle. And when we look at this game, guys, it was a very, very weird game. There was a lot of slipping in. There was a lot of slow motion plays. It just seemed like a very odd AFC North divisional game. But the Ravens did come out on top. So when we look at this game as a whole, obviously, guys, this was a must-win game for the Cincinnati Bengals. This was a must-win game for the Cincinnati Bengals to even keep pace to win the division or have an opportunity to win the AFC North division. It is what it is, right? So we got to ask this question, guys. Now that the Cincinnati Bengals are now 5-5 on the season, now that they are a 500 team, is their season officially done? Are the Cincinnati Bengals not going to make the playoffs? Are the Cincinnati Bengals not going to win the the AFC North? Fact or crap, guys, the Cincinnati Bengals are done. When we look at the Cincinnati Bengals, guys, they have had a very awkward season, right? Very, very, very awkward. Joe Burrow has been injured damn near all season long. When he finally looked healthy, the Cincinnati Bengals go on a tear, win 4 games in a row over the Cardinals, the Seahawks, 49ers, and then the Buffalo Bills. Now, looking back, maybe the Buffalo Bills wasn't such a good win, but either way, they still won 4 games in a row. Then Joe Burrow gets hurt again. They lose. But right now, they're sitting at 5-5, fourth in the AFC North. They play the Pittsburgh Steelers coming up on next Sunday, 10 days from now. Then they play a primetime Monday night game versus the Jaguars and Colts, Vikings, Steelers, and the Chiefs and the Browns moving forward, guys. I hate to say it, but the Cincinnati Bengals season is done. Where's the fork? Put a fork in them. Make them well done. They've been left on the grill way too long. Somebody forgot to flip them over and cook the other side. Guys, the Cincinnati Bengals are not going to make the playoffs. The Cincinnati Bengals are not going to win the AFC North. The Cincinnati Bengals are right now a very, very bad team. They did go on a 4-game tear. I will give you that. But did you guys know that the Cleveland Browns are 0-14 in primetime games in the last 7 years? In the last 7 years, they are 0-14 on primetime games. And in general, they have lost 24 of the last 25 primetime games. Guys, the Cincinnati Bengals are not a good team right now. They are not a good team. Put a fork in them. Moving on. Make way for the Chargers. Make way for the Raiders. Make way for somebody, but the Cincinnati Bengals guys are not making the playoffs. Now, on the flip side of that coin, I went out there and I said that this was also a must-win for the Baltimore Ravens. This was also a game that the Baltimore Ravens had to have because they could possibly only win 2 or 3 games moving forward. Obviously, I thought the Bengals were going to go into Baltimore, Maryland, and beat the Ravens. That did not happen. I'm eating crow on that one. The Ravens looked really, really good. They looked like a very healthy, well-oiled machine moving forward. But now, once we have seen them battle a division foe, beat them down, shut them down. They were beating them down, shutting them down before Joe Burrow got hurt, right? The injury just amplified a little bit once you realize, oh shit, we are losing to the Baltimore Ravens. My wrist hurts. That's what happened. Let's just be honest. But right now, guys, the Ravens are in the front seat. They're in the driver's seat of the AFC North. It is their division to lose right now. They play the Chargers, the Rams, and the Jaguars in the next 3 games, all very, very winnable games, and then a possible Super Bowl showdown versus the San Francisco 49ers. And then they play the Miami Dolphins. We all know how the Miami Dolphins play against winning teams. And then they play the Pittsburgh Steelers. We don't even know what the Pittsburgh Steelers are. Are they going to be good that game, or are they going to be bad? Are they going to run zone plays, or are they going to do down the hill plays? I don't know. It is what it is. But the Baltimore Ravens are clearly in the front seat, and I think once they get 11 wins, they're going to put it in cruise control. Bada bing, bada boom. They'll get 11 wins by December. By Christmas, they'll coast against the 49ers. They'll coast against the Dolphins. They'll coast against the Steelers. If they win, they win. They lose, they lose. It doesn't really matter. But, guys, the Ravens are winning the AFC North right now. The Ravens are winning the North. No question about it. However, coming out of that game, injuries started to pile up for the Baltimore Ravens as well. Injuries were piling up for Mark Andrews, likely out for the season with probably a broken ankle. It looked a lot worse than what it was. Like, I thought he was paralyzed for like a little while, the way he was not moving. But luckily for him, he was able to walk off the field, but he's likely out for the season. But a key injury for them is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson looked like he had a sprained ankle or some type of sore foot happening. I have not read the injury report on Lamar Jackson yet, but he is obviously going to be hobbled moving forward as well. And we all know this is about the time of year when Lamar Jackson goes down. So like I said, I literally just said that the Ravens are in the driver's seat to win the AFC North. The Ravens it's basically their division to lose 100%. So when we sit back and we look at Lamar Jackson moving forward, look at his injury history, looking at the Ravens' history when Lamar Jackson goes down. If Lamar Jackson is to miss any significant time with that ankle injury, do the Ravens still win the division? The Baltimore Ravens, guys, have a really good defense right now. The Baltimore Ravens have an offense that is clicking on all cylinders right now. Is that because of Lamar Jackson? Yes, 100%. Lamar Jackson is playing out of his mind right now. But let's flash back to last season. Let's flash back when Lamar Jackson missed, the last 6 games, I believe it was. Tyler Huntley comes in. Tyler Huntley, to say the day, takes off the Superman cape. Let's go, baby. Now, he did not have the success as I thought he was going to. I think he ended up going 2-4 as a starter. But I said it back then, and I'm going to stick to it now. I think Tyler Huntley is built better for the Baltimore Ravens than Lamar Jackson. Now, obviously, the offense has been catered around Lamar Jackson's running ability. It has been catered around the ability to do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that. Tyler Huntley can do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Now, he is not as good as athlete as Lamar Jackson is, but he has better arm talent than Lamar Jackson. The way Lamar Jackson throws the ball looks like a little shot put throw. It kind of irritates me a little bit. And I don't know why, but it just pisses me off every time I see Lamar Jackson throw the ball and it looks like he's throwing like a shot, right? Tyler Huntley can lead the Baltimore Ravens to the playoffs. Tyler Huntley can save the day for Lamar Jackson if he does miss some time. There's a reason why they signed Tyler Huntley again this offseason before they signed Lamar Jackson, because Tyler Huntley is a really, really good backup. He is a really good fit for the Baltimore Ravens, and he is kind of a cheap version of Lamar Jackson, I guess you can say, but that cheap version lasts a little bit better. Now, he could never sustain that for a full 17-game season. Let's just be honest about that. Let's not get that twisted. But if he has to come in for relief for a couple games versus the Colts, versus the Jaguars, versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think Tyler Huntley can do it. So, guys, the Baltimore Ravens are definitely in the front seat moving forward. But we do got Jim Powell in the chat today. He says, what's up? What's up, Jim? Hope you're having a grand old day. Guys, we are going head-to-head. Actually, I'm not. I think Hoffy is going head-to-head with Jim Powell's picks this week for a chance to win a hoodie. If you guys want a chance to win a man-hour hoodie next week, look for the post on Tuesday. I'll post it out there. Comment, say, I want to win that hoodie, and I want to go against Hoffy because Hoffy is the worst game picker out there. Bada bing, bada boom. We put you into the computer, do a little aggro thing, go, and then bada bing, bada boom. Maybe your name might be up there. It might be up there. Maybe. We like last week we had Laura pop in and say she wants to do it. We had Wayne G. We had Nate, I think his name was. Then we had Jim. I think John was in there as as well. Those 5 people. Jim's name popped out. It is what it is. Speaking of John, our NFL resident expert, because he's got a 4-letter name in his name, is John, and he says, good morning. He says, nope. Nope. I don't know what nope was for, but he says, nope. Anything you say, nope. Do you like bread? Nope. Do you like driving cars? Nope. Do you like waking up in the morning? Nope. And guys, phone lines are officially now open. You can call the show at 434-468-1234. You can call the Man Hour phone line right now, guys, to come in and talk your shit at 434-468-1234. You will get Hoffy on the other end. He'll figure out what you want to talk about. He'll get your name piped it through. But the key when you call the show, guys, you have to mute your show. You have to mute the show when you call the show. Because if I start getting that echo thing happening again, we're just going to cut you out. We are going to cut you out. Mute the show if you guys want to call the show. But guys, this is Fact or Crap Friday. We have 3 facts or craps that I want to talk about. We are going to talk about the Jaguars. We're going to talk about the Raiders. But first, on this Fact or Crap, we got to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Cleveland Browns. Both of these teams are sitting at 6-3 on the season, in second and third place in the AFC North, roughly 2 games behind the Baltimore Ravens as of right now. So fact or crap, guys, do the Cleveland Browns need this win more than the Pittsburgh Steelers? So like I said, both of these teams are sitting at 6-3 right now. However, one team just lost their starting quarterback for the season. The Cleveland Browns have lost their starting quarterback for the season, and it was a big blow, right? Deshaun Watson was getting better and better and better each and every week. Now, P.J. Walker will be the starter moving forward. Actually, I take that back. They think DTR is going to be the starter. P.J. Walker, he had a couple wins when Deshaun Watson went down, but they're like, hey, let's give a chance to DTR still. They are also trying to bring in free agent Joe Flacco as well. That seems like a dumb choice, but hey, DTR will be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns moving forward. And if you guys think about this, let's flash back to preseason. Let's flash back to Hall of Fame game, like I think it was. Cleveland Browns taking on the Jets. DTR was playing out of his mind. They're like, hey, this guy's at a Deshaun Watson 2.0. So factor crap, do the Browns need this win more? Guys, this is a fact. This is a fact that the Cleveland Browns need this game more. This is a fact because this is a divisional opponent for the Cleveland Browns and obviously the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. This is a fact because of the Cleveland Browns. They don't know what they're going to get from the quarterback play moving forward. Yes, their defense is very, very, very good. Yes, their offense can be very, 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 very good. Yes, they do hope that other kickers will miss game-winning field goals against them as well. But this is the reason why the Browns need this game more. When you look at their schedule moving forward, they play the Broncos, Rams, Jags, Bears, Texans, Jets, and Bengals. A very, very favorable schedule moving forward. However, the Pittsburgh Steelers schedule is a lot more easier. They play the Bengals, Cardinals, Patriots, Colts, Bengals, Seahawks, Ravens. Guys, both of these teams could legitimately only lose 1 to 2 games for the rest of the season. The reason why the Browns need this game more is because they did lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 2, 26-22. So this is a fact. The Cleveland Browns need this game more. They need it more. Just for a confidence booster, right? Just to say, hey, we can win with DTR. We can win with P.J. Walker. They don't need to score 100, 180 points in a game. We got the best defense in the land, baby. Let's go. Go. John says, fact that the Cleveland Browns do need this game more than the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is a fact, he says. James Chamberlain is in the chat. What's up, James? Hope you're having a grand old day, man. Be sure to hit that like button. He says fact as well. With that defense, Browns backup can carry them into the playoffs. So, obviously the Browns have the best defense in the NFL. Yes, they gave up 31 points to the Baltimore Ravens, but the Baltimore Ravens are a very good offense. They are a very, very good team. But it is funny because everybody's been talking about the 2000 Ravens, about how great their defense was. A very, very good defense. Let's not get that twisted, right? But the Cleveland Browns can be that dominant. The Cleveland Browns defense can be them. Hell, just the other day, I was on a show with Wayne G, the NFL experts, right? And they were talking about midseason MVPs. Of course, they were putting up C.J. Stroud up there, and for some reason, Josh Dobbs was up there, which is absolutely ridiculous. And then Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, Hurts, and like all that stuff. But I'm like, whoa, slow it down, baby. You realize that a true MVP is the most valuable player for that team, right? You do realize that an MVP is the most valuable player on the team, not the quarterback on the best team. The NFL just gets that wrong each and every year. But the point of the fact of the matter is Myles Garrett is the true league MVP right now. Myles Garrett is making the Cleveland Browns go. The Cleveland Browns can lose Deshaun Watson. They can lose DTR. They can lose Amari Cooper. They can lose anybody else on the offensive side of the ball. As long as the defense is healthy, as long as Myles Garrett is 100, look out, baby. Look out, look out, look out. It is what it is. Jim says, I was cleaning dog poo. What did I miss? Nothing. Just Buck talking shit. Like always. But guys, the phone lines are officially open. Call 434-468-1234. Call into the show. Talk your shit. Talk about whatever you want. It is Freeform Friday, and it is definitely fact or crap day as well. So we ask the question, is it fact or is it crap? If it's a fact if you agree, and it's crap if you disagree. It is very, very simple. Very, very cut and dry. But the first one, Browns need this win more than the Steelers. That is a fact. Now, moving on to the next one. Let's talk about John's team. Let's talk about Jim's team. Let's talk about the black and silver. Let's talk about a team that could get into the playoffs, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders. Guys, the Raiders right now are sitting at 5-5 on the season. They do play the Miami Dolphins at Miami this weekend. We all know how Miami Dolphins play against losing teams. Against winning teams. Now, obviously, the Raiders are not a winning team yet, but they're not a losing team either. So that 500 team, we'll see how they play against them. But guys, fact or crap, if, and that's a big if, the Las Vegas Raiders beat the Miami Dolphins, then the Raiders will make the playoffs. Obviously, I'm wearing my Chiefs gear today. We have a big game on Monday. But when I speak playoffs, and the Las Vegas Raiders in the same sentence in my mouth at the same time, I feel like I got a little dog poo in my mouth. I feel like I saved a piece of that dog poo and put it on a French toast, right? No, I'm kidding for it. But if the Las Vegas Raiders beat the Miami Dolphins, that puts them at 6-5. That puts them, 3 wins in a row now for Antonio Pierce, interim head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, 3-0. What? Then they play the Chiefs. We've seen the Chiefs. They are vulnerable. Speaking as a Chiefs fan, they are vulnerable. They can't be beat. Then you play the Vikings. Vikings are a very hot team, but very, very beatable. Then you play the Chargers. Sorry, David, your Chargers are not very good. And then play the Chiefs, Colts, and Broncos to end the season. So realistically, we've been talking 10 wins will get you into the playoffs. Realistically, right now with the Bengals going down, 9 wins might get you into the playoffs. But let's stick to the 10 wins right now. Let's put that caveat of 10 wins. If the Raiders beat the Miami Dolphins, that puts them at 6-5. 7 games left in the season, right? Do they beat the Chiefs? No. I don't think they beat the Chiefs either time. So there are 2 L's right there. L and L. That puts them about 6-7, right? Then they play the Minnesota Vikings. I think they can beat the Minnesota Vikings, and I think they will beat the Minnesota Vikings. I think the Josh Dobbs hype comes down. I think the return of JJ kind of hurts that team more than helps it, so I think the Raiders beat the Vikings. Then they play the Chargers. Chargers and Raiders always seem to be a battle, right? It's always kind of a flip of a coin. Who is kind of at the home field, right? Neither of them seem to have home field advantage for whatever reason, but I think they beat the Chargers. And I said, they could get swept by the Chiefs. And then they play the Colts team. A Colts team that, some week the Colts look like a Super Bowl playoff team, and the next week they're a bottom feeder with the New York Football Giants. We don't know what Colts team is going to show up, but let's give them a dub. And I think they beat the Broncos as well. They already beat the Broncos once this season. Yes, the Broncos are clicking right now, but that's January. You'll be out of the playoff hunt. Raiders will be squarely into the playoff hunt. Must win, by the way, they win that game. So moving out for the last 7 games, I got 4 more wins. If they beat the Miami Dolphins and they get those 4 more wins, that puts them in the playoffs. So can we say this, guys? Can we say this fact? This is a fact. If the Las Vegas Raiders beat the Miami Dolphins on Sunday, the Las Vegas Raiders are going to the playoffs. That is a fact, Jack. Hoffy, are the Raiders going to go to the freaking playoffs, baby?
Absolutely not. They still got to play the Chiefs twice. They got the Vikings, the Chargers. Heck, the Broncos are playing pretty well of late. So, they could only, if they do beat the Dolphins, they'll be, 6-5. They might be lucky to finish, 7 wins, 10 losses, because I think the only winnable game on their schedule is the Colts. Obviously, they'll probably squeak out one of those games just because the NFL, we've seen some weird things happen. But, I mean, they got a gauntlet of a schedule remaining. And like I said, 2 games, the Chiefs, 1, the Vikings, Chargers, Broncos. Division games are always tough, hard-fought games. But
Right.
no, I don't believe they're going to make the playoffs. That's a crap.
Oh, so guys, Hoffy thinks
Big old donkey shit.
Hoffy thinks that the Raiders are not going to make the playoffs, even if they beat the Miami Dolphins. But let's go ahead and jump into the chat here. Lucy Harry is in the chat, and he says Raiders are going for it. Raiders are going for it. They're going to the promised land, baby. Let's go. John, of course he says fact. John says AP has a team on point, upset for the weekend. Hoffy, let me ask you this question. Obviously, the Miami Dolphins cannot beat winning teams, right? And the Raiders technically are not, I mean, they're not a losing team, but they're not a winning team either. Would it be really an upset if the Raiders go to Miami and beat the Miami Dolphins? Like, is that considered an upset since we know how the Dolphins perform and the Raiders are kind of hot right now?
Yeah, the Raiders don't have a winning record.
But they don't have a losing record either. I mean, they're 5-5.
Yeah, but the Dolphins are a much better team on paper. The Raiders do not have more wins than losses, so this is a game that the Dolphins should absolutely win, and if they lose, they have no excuse. I think the Dolphins win this game.
Yeah, I mean, we will be picking on games here in a little bit. But James says, slow it down, baby. Slow it down, baby. He says Raiders are coming back down to earth. Not only are they coming back down to earth, they are crashing back down to earth this weekend after the 2-0 streak with the interim head coach. And then he gives a flexing with the Miami Dolphins. James is a Miami Dolphins fan. So, I mean, are the Raiders coming back down to earth? Crashing back down to reality, as Smash Mouth likes to say in the early 2000s? If you know, you know.
Too soon. Didn't he just pass away? We can't be talking about the dead like that.
It was a song.
I mean, Antonio Pierce is not the guy. I mean, he made it pretty clear and obvious last week he does not know the rules of the game. So I don't know if we'd say they're coming back down to earth. I think they've been on earth the whole time. You know, they're a hit and miss team. They play to their competition. But no, I think I agree with Wayne G. The Raiders are going to get steamrolled by the Dolphins. Who is going to throw for like 400 plus yards, 5 touchdowns? You know, is the rookie running back coming back now to a Kane?
He has been designated to return from IR, but Mike McDaniels is trying to pull his best Bill Belichick impressions, but like, oh, you got him on your fantasy team, or you try to get insider tips. So we don't really know if he's playing this week or not, but to be determined, right? But I don't know if he's playing yet or not. But Jim coming in here, and he says the Raiders consistently play up or down to their competitions. If the Dolphins do the same, who wins? Signed, AOC's biggest fan. So if the Raiders are playing up to the Miami Dolphins and the Miami Dolphins are playing down to the Raiders, I feel like the Dolphins have the edge still, right? I feel like no matter how you slice that bread, if you slice it horizontally or vertically or diagonally, the bread is still going to taste the same. And I think the Miami Dolphins come out on top no matter if the Raiders play up or the Dolphins play down. I think this is definitely the Dolphins' games to lose. Any thoughts on that?
No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, regardless of how the Dolphins play, I think they come away with a win, unless they, turn into the Buffalo Jills and have 5 turnovers. But I don't see that happening.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe 3.
So they can survive with 3 turnovers, huh?
Tua could throw 2 interceptions and they'll still win because the Raiders aren't going to put up points.
Jim says, fact, the Raiders are making the playoffs. And then Jim comes out and says the only thing the Raiders are going down in South Beach this weekend with leaving with an L. Man, I love the shit talk. Raiders versus Dolphins, guys, coming up. John says hit Tua a couple times and then he will get rattled and the Raiders will have their way. listen, have we seen Tua get hit at all this season, Hoffy? Like, I feel like he has not been sacked, not been hurried all season long. He is getting the ball out quick and fast and effectively. So possibly if Max Crosby could get to Tua in 2 seconds, possibly you could get him rattled. But Tua has moved on from last season. Tua has grown a lot as a player. Tua has grown tremendously as a NFL quarterback, and I don't think a couple hits are going to get him rattled. Hoffy, has Tua been sacked at all this season? Maybe like 5 times, if that. It seems like it's been very, very, very low.
Tua's been sacked 14 times this year.
14 times. So, I mean,
so that's about a sack a game.
Yeah,
a little bit, a little bit over 1 sack, but not even 2 sacks a game.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously they're pressuring him and they're rattling him. So I mean, they're trying to, right? So it is what it is. Jim says he was passionate about the game and making bad choices in a challenge is a part of that. Hoffy is the toxic shock syndrome today. What are you talking about, Jim? Do you have any idea what he's talking about, Hoffy?
It's a Raider fan. I mean, do they know what they're talking about at like ever?
Nah, true. My man Wayne G pops back into the chat here, and he says, if I was Devontae Adams, I'd fake a season-ending injury and demand a trade in the offseason. Whoa. We already know that Devontae Adams is pissed off in Vegas land. He's pissed off because he wants the ball over and over and over again. And when they traded his boy Derek Carr, he was pretty upset as well. Hoffy? If you were Devontae Adams, would you demand a trade? I would. I would say, send me to Kansas City, baby. Send me to Miami. Send me to San Francisco. Hell, send me back to the Packers somewhere.
I mean, the only thing we got to keep in mind is he's Raiders through and through. So if he wasn't born and raised a Raiders fan, maybe not. But I think that I think he wants to see the ship get right. I think he wants to stay in Oakland, Las Vegas. But I think he wants to. He's probably going to have some say in who the quarterback's going to be next year, because I think it's pretty obvious Jimmy G and O'Connell are not the answer. So I think if you want to keep Devontae Adams, you got to kind of go to him and give him some say in what pieces you bring in. But no, I don't think that he's going to force his way out. But yes, he should force his way out because it's the Raiders, and the Raiders are going to Raiders.
So the one thing that I found intriguing here, Hoffy, is the fact that you said Adrian O'Connell is not him, right? Adrian O'Connell isn't like, quote, the future moving forward. Jim is the biggest Adrian O'Connell fan out there. Jim thinks Adrian O'Connell is going to be the man, the myth, the legend for the Raiders moving forward. You really don't think that Adrian O'Connell can do good things in Vegas? I mean, he's not doing bad. He's 2-0 as a starter.
What's he done to show us that he can be a quarterback in the NFL?
He's 2-0 as a starter. He has just as many wins as Justin Fields in like 8 seasons.
All right, well, he's got two wins. I mean, that's no big deal. I think Bailey Zappi has just as many wins, and Bailey Zappi is just as I think they'd be better off with Bailey Zappi than they would be O'Connell. And Bailey Zappi got cut from, one of the worst teams in the NFL this year. So
not once, not twice, but 3 times he's been cut by the Patriots and re-signed again. And oh, by the way, he'll probably be starting this weekend as well. WB Ant is in the chat. What is up, my man? He says, what I tell you about them Ravens? My little boy, Mamar, came back out there and did his Patty Mahomes shit. Listen, Lamar Jackson plays well in August, September, and November. And bring me that energy in December when he's sitting on the bench because, his ankle hurts. Oh, because my back hurts. Oh, I have a writer's elbow or something. I have turf toe. Come back with that injury, or or come back with the energy in December. And John says he's still salty about the Bengals last night. I'm not salty about the Bengals.
I think he's referring to me because I'm
okay.
picking on his quarterback that's got 100 and averages 168 yards a game, has 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in those 2 games, and he's been sacked 10 times. He's been sacked almost as many times as Tua has in 2 games. So what in that body of work tells you, outside of he's got 2 wins, that he's the go-to guy?
I don't know.
Or excuse me, he's got 4 games now. So yeah,
I can't remember.
he averages a touchdown every 2 games.
Hey,
heck, Kenny Pickett's putting up better stats than that.
Because Kenny Pickett's going to be an MVP next
shut
season.
up. Kenny Pickett is a bum.
Ron Green is in the chat. What is up, Ron? He says the Dolphins will likely shut out the Raiders and pull their starters at halftime. Ron, are you saying they're going to 70-piece the Raiders? Listen, the Raiders have a pretty good defense. Marcus Peters, the number 41 linebacker, Max Crosby, they have a pretty good parts. Hell, don't they got Mac in there still? Mac went back to the Chargers. But the Raiders defense is probably a top 10 defense. I would not be sleeping on the Raiders if I'm a Dolphins fan or a Dolphins team in general. Do not be overlooking the Raiders at all. Halftime? Maybe fourth quarter, but not no halftime. They're not going to be blowing out halftime. O'Connell coming in hot, says Jim. And then John says Max has the most pressures in the NFL as well. He might have the most pressures, but he doesn't have the most NFL sacks. You can pressure the guy all you want, but if you're not getting sacks, how is that going to help out, right? James says the Fangino system is starting to get there rolling for sure. He is the Miami Dolphins coach, right? If I'm not, like, the defensive coordinator. And, right, Hoffy?
Who'd you say, Fangio?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he is the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins.
Yeah, and, like, I wouldn't say his system is starting to get rolling for sure. The Miami Dolphins are starting to get players back. That's what it comes down to. Xavier Howard's back. Jalen Ramsey is back. They had their the defensive tackle was out for a few games. That's what's clicking for the Miami Dolphins, is that they're just getting healthy, right? I wouldn't necessarily say the system is improving or starting to roll. They're just getting their starters back. So, Hoffy, are all the starters back for the Miami Dolphins now?
Yeah, I mean, this is week 3 for Jalen Ramsey. I mean, in his first week, he picked off, provided it's Pea Shooter Mac Jones, anyone can pick him off. But yeah, I mean, they got him back. The defensive tackle, like you said, is back. They have, they're kind of starting to click on all cylinders as far as getting healthy again. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to shut out this Raiders offense, but, I wouldn't doubt that Kevin O'Connell throws 2 interceptions, and maybe if he's lucky if he has 1 touchdown pass. I think if they score any touchdowns, it's going to be with Mr. Jacobs. But, I don't see it being – I don't think this game's going to be close.
Mr. Jacobs, I'm putting some respect on his name. But this is a question that I saw pop up on the live feed, and I wanted to really dive into this. It is, does Davante Adams equals Stephon Diggs? So when I first saw this question, I was thinking instantly cancer in the locker room, right? Are they bad for their team? Are they doing this? But then I'm like, well, is he talking about stats? Are they the top 5 receivers in the NFL, right? But if you want to say, I'm going to the first part here. Is Davante Adams as a Stephon Diggs and starting to demand his way, starting to demand it's me, starting to demand whether, hey, either we win or I'm out. And I think Davante Adams is definitely starting to be a Stephon Diggs, right? And when I said Stephon Diggs was a cancer to his team, I got roasted on YouTube. They're like, well, you don't know what you're talking about. This. Guys, the last 3 seasons when the Buffalo Bills have been knocked out of the playoffs, what did you see Stephon Diggs doing? Yelling at Josh Allen, yelling at, his coaches, throwing his helmet, doing this. Yes, you can call that passion. You can call it whatever you want. But we're starting to see the same thing from Devontae Adams. Does Devontae Adams equal Stephon Diggs? 100%. I think so. Hoffy, what are your thoughts on this question? Adams equals Diggs?
No, I mean, the Bills have been struggling this year as far as wins and losses, but Diggs is still putting up some pretty good stats. And all these past couple years when they've, he's at the end of the season, they've had pretty good seasons. Devontae Adams is pissed off because he's not getting the ball and they're not winning. So I think if you get Devontae Adams the ball and if you're winning, he's not going to be pissed off and complaining like Diggs is. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call him a cancer. I mean, I think he's just very passionate, and I don't think he's in the wrong here with, he came to the Raiders. He was expecting to win, and, they gave him Josh McDaniels as a coach, and, he came here to play ball with his boy, Mr. Carr, and Derek Carr's been shipped out, and, they brought in Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think he even had some, he kind of questioned that in the offseason, which I don't blame him. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo is a quarter, he's a system quarterback. In the 49ers system, he was pretty good, but we're seeing, Brock Purdy be pretty good. We've seen Sam Darnold perform a couple games this year in garbage time. So I think if they're winning, and I think if he has a solidified quarterback, Aaron Rodgers or some other quarterback that can actually get him the ball, then he wouldn't be all pissed off. So I think right now it's warranted, but Stephon Diggs is absolutely a cancer right now. And I think anyone that has ridiculed you for that is now starting to probably circle around that and realizing that Buck is usually right.
Yeah. Speaking of usually right, Arthur Brown is usually right, but he says, slow it down, baby. It's November. Lamar deserves respect. Put his name on it, damn it. Listen, Arthur Brown, my man, fellow Miami Dolphins fan, Hoffy, you and him are boys, both wearing Tua jerseys, looking all snazzy, aqua and orange. Woo, looking very, 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 very nice.
I'll have mine on this weekend, baby.
Very nice. But listen, I'm not dogging Lamar Jackson, Arthur Brown. I'm not saying Lamar Jackson is a bad quarterback. Lamar Jackson is performing at an MVP level right now. But what has been the knock of Lamar Jackson? I have been on it since day one. December and January, he shits the bed. December and January, he forgets how to play football. December and January, he gets injured. Now, I'm not wishing any ill will on Lamar Jackson whatsoever. No injuries, no catastrophic blowing up of the season, but I am putting some respect on his name. Right now, he is performing at a very, very high level. If the MVP race were to end right now, I think Lamar Jackson would probably win it. Lamar Jackson is a good quarterback right now in November. Any thoughts to that?
He's not bad in December either. He's 13-3.
He's 13-3 in December.
Yeah, it kind of shocked me. I was trying to prove your point here, but yeah, apparently he is 13-3 in the month of December in his career.
And so probably like Christmas on is when he starts to flutter, right? Let me change the narrative.
Yeah,
like
after right? Santa Claus comes down the chimney and gives him all of his goodies and toys.
James says Diggs is too big of a prima donna. Quote, head case from what John says. Stephon Diggs is definitely starting to get a little too big for his britches, right? But it is what it is. You are in the NFL. You're making life-changing money. You can do whatever you want, when you want, how you want. But let's move on to the next factor crap, the final factor crap of the day, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars right now are sitting at 6-3, and they do travel, they're at home versus the Tennessee Titans this weekend. When we look at the Jaguars schedule moving forward, they play the Texans, Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Buccaneers, Panthers, and they end the season versus the Tennessee Titans. So, guys, fact or crap? If the Jacksonville Jaguars lose this weekend versus the Tennessee Titans, they will miss the playoffs. Wow. So, I have been deemed a Jacksonville hater by XD Gamer and all of his boys, right? But when we look at the Jacksonville Jaguars moving forward, I just want to be objectively as I can. I want to, kind of put it out there, right? Yes, the Jacksonville Jaguars did win 5 games in a row. Yes, they did. You cannot take anything away from that. However, it was against the Falcons over in the pond. Buffalo Bills over the pond. We saw how great the Buffalo Bills are now, right? The Indianapolis Colts, it was a good win, but you beat Gardner Minshew in his first start. Then you played a Derek Carless New Orleans Saints, and then you beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll give you that good win. But if the Jaguars lose to the Titans, that would be 2 division losses. 2 division losses that you should have not have lost. Lost to the Texans and then lost to the Titans. Now, they could very easily get swept by both of those teams if they lose this weekend. They play the Texans the following week at Houston, and they play the Titans to end the game. If you get swept by those 2 teams, holy shit, baby, watch out. That means you are 2-4 in the division. But with that being said, I think it's going to take 9 wins to win this division. I think if you get 9 wins, you are squarely going to win the division. Right now, they're 1 game above Houston in the division championship race of 6 wins versus 5 wins. So 4 wins. Do I see 4 wins coming from the Jacksonville Jaguars moving forward? I do think they beat the Titans once, right? They may not win this weekend, but I see them beating the Titans at least once late in the season, right? I think they beat the Panthers. I think they beat the Bengals. Right there's 3 wins, but then you play at the Bucs Christmas Eve. You play a very, very good Baltimore Ravens team and Lamar Jackson playing out of his mind. There you go. Arthur Brown, put some respect on his name. And then you play a Cleveland Browns team. Don't know how good they're going to be with DTR, but I'll give you a loss as well. Then it all comes down to the Cincinnati Bengals game, Monday Night Football, December 4th. Is Joe Burrow back? Is Joe Burrow healthy? I think so. I think it's going to be Joe Burrow versus Trevor Lawrence head-to-head, and that gives you 4 more losses. So that's only 3 more wins. But guess what? 9 wins the division, so it is crap. It is crap. I think no matter what they do versus the Tennessee Titans this weekend, I still think they make the playoffs, and I think they're like a 9-8 team. I think they get 3, maybe 4 more wins to finish out the 7-game season here, so I think it is a crap. Hoffy, what are your thoughts?
That was a lot to digest. Is it if they lose this weekend, they're not in the playoffs, or they're not winning the division?
If they lose this weekend, they're not in the playoffs.
I mean, I'm looking at the Texans schedule. I mean, you brought up the Jaguars schedule. I mean, the Texans have been, I don't know, they're hot, they're cold kind of thing, but the Texans have a very favorable schedule. I mean, I think if we spoke a couple weeks ago, we'd say they're absolutely going to beat the Broncos, which they play December 3rd. That could be, I think that'll be a good game. But if they can, they have the Cardinals this weekend, they should win that. They should win that game. Kyler Murray, he's going to have to, be out of his mind and bring his Cardinals to a victory, which he did last week. I was impressed with him. But I mean, if they can win that game, they then play the Jags next week. So if the Jags, I don't think the Jags are losing to the Titans, but, the Jags have a difficult schedule. The Texans have, the Cardinals coming up, the Jaguars, the Broncos, the Jets, the Titans, the Browns, the Titans again, and the Colts. So, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 very winnable games of their, the remaining schedule. So, I think that if the Jaguars lose this weekend, next weekend's game would really kind of determine who's going to win that division. So if they lose this weekend, I think that, that gives the Texans the confidence to beat them next weekend. And then at that point, it would be the Texans division to win. And I think that the right now it's looking like the AFC North is going to kind of, send all 4 teams almost into the playoffs. So yes, if they lose this weekend and they lose next weekend as well, they're absolutely in a lot of trouble.
So I think the Texans already have confidence against the Jaguars since they beat them. What was it, week 3 or week 4 of the NFL season? They went into Jacksonville and whooped that ass, 37-17. So they definitely have that confidence moving forward. But Jim says crap. I don't care what the question is, but the answer is fact. What? Wayne G says crap. They can lose this game and still go 11-6, 12-5. I don't think they can get 11 wins. I mean, if you get 11 wins, that means you have to win 5 out of the last 7. Let's say you beat the Titans, you beat the Houston Texans, and then the Panthers. Is the Buccaneers going to be a dub at Tampa Bay? And then the Bengals, Browns, and Ravens. Let's just be honest, guys. The Jaguars have kind of a gauntlet of a schedule moving forward. You play the Texans, Bengals, Browns, Ravens, and Buccaneers all back to back weeks, and it is going to be very, very, very tough. And Jim says, "Where's the phone? I need to explain how one of you is wrong, except for John." Hoffy, do we have Jim on the line?
I don't have them yet, but I did send the line in the chat.
Okay.
So
All right, guys. So the
he
phone
wants to
number
come
is
on and talk that
434
shit.
434-468-1234. That is the phone line here. So Jim, feel free to call in.
Is he a Raiders fan?
Jim is definitely a Raiders fan.
Oh, so no wonder. Oh, here he is. So no wonder why he thinks that John is correct. Should I just bring him right on, or do you want me to mute it? And
Go ahead and mute it. Make sure he has his live stream muted, and then we'll bring you on. But okay.
You with us?
All right, guys. So the phone lines are open, 434-468-1234. Feel free to call in and talk about anything that you want. But Hoffy, it sounds like we have Jim on the line, right?
We do have Jim on the line. Go ahead, Jim.
First of all, everyone's wrong.
Turn him up a little bit, Hoffy.
Making my prediction that the Raiders will beat Dolphins. The Dolphins play down to what we think we're going to be. Because they're all, and we're going to roll out of Miami victorious. I mean, we can all talk about it, but we'll be wrong if we say anything different.
So you are saying that the Raiders are going to go into Miami and not only win, but they're going to whoop that ass, come on the airplane, smoking stogies, and win out for the rest of the season. Is that what I just heard out of your mouth? Apparently not, huh?
I can't hear you.
Can you hear us now?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Let me hear you, Buck. I can't hear you.
Huh. That's all right, Hoffy. So, Hoffy,
said something.
Tell him that he is wrong.
No.
Buck says you're wrong.
That's what I figured. I could see his lips moving. That's how I knew he was lying. But what I meant was,
you really think Adrian O'Connell and that offense is going to be able to compete with the number 1 offense in the league?
well, the number one thing to consider is that Max Crosby's going to come firing in there. And even if he doesn't get the sacks that we think he might get, he's still going to get a few touches, right? So if we can get a little bit of mush in that helmet, a little bit of scared, let Tua hear footsteps. Yeah, I think he's going to think about being able to write his name on a check in the future, and he's going to give it up a little easier.
I think
AOC.
I don't think your secondary is fast enough to compete with Waddle and Hill. I think they're going to burn him off the right off the line of scrimmage, and Tua's going to be getting that ball out in less than 2 seconds. So I could see Crosby getting some touches, but I don't think he's going to get any solid touches on Tua. He might get a sack. I mean, they're averaging giving up a sack a game, so he might have that 1 sack. Heck, he might have 2. But I don't see the defense, the secondary being able to compete with the with the cheetah and his running mate there in Waddle.
Our secondary has always been suspect, and for 35 years I've been having nightmares about it. So I tend to agree with you.
Well, I can tell you.
So,
but I also tend to agree with the fact that if Antonio's going to do what act like the old style Raiders, John Madden used to say, "Yeah, we're dirty. What are you going to do about it? Take care of business."
Yeah, I mean, the key is going to have to be jamming those receivers off the line of scrimmage. So I guess, it's going to come down to that. I just don't know that, Peters is going to find the fountain of youth in this game, unfortunately.
All right, that's pretty much all I had. I just want to let everybody know how wrong they are and that Trevor Lawrence has the biggest nose I've ever seen.
All right, well, we'll have you back on Monday, and we'll see who's eating crow.
All right, man.
Have a good one.
Guys, that was Jim on the phone line. Feel free to call into the show here. We're going to be live for about another 10, 15 minutes here. 434-468-1234 is the phone line. Feel free to call in. And Ron Green says...
Everyone but John.
Everybody but John. Ron says, Jim is a comedian. Go Dolphins, he says. Listen, this might be the game of the weekend, Hoffy. Wait, how is that? My head is I'm like, Raiders versus Dolphins might be the game of the weekend, might be better than the Steelers and the Browns, might be better than the Chiefs versus the Eagles. Yeah, this game has so many implications moving forward. What?
Monday is going to be cream of the crop.
Right. But as far as playoff picture, playoff standings, the Chiefs versus the Eagles don't really matter that much, but the Raiders versus Dolphins, if the Raiders can upset the Dolphins are on the outside looking in almost, Hoffy. Damn, yes, the Buffalo Bills might be kind of, paddling water and seeking ship, but the Jets are right there. And if the Miami Dolphins start to falter against the Raiders and other teams coming forward, they got a pretty hard schedule moving forward. I hate to say, but the Dolphins might be on the outside looking in if they lose this game.
No. I think I can see the Bills beating Miami again in Miami, just because they have their number. But the Bills to me right now are sinking ship, and I thought it was their division to lose coming into this year.
Yeah.
But they are absolutely looking pretty suspect right now. I don't think the Jets are gonna be there, unless somehow Aaron Rodgers comes in the month of December and they win out. I think it's going to be tough. The only way that the Dolphins don't make the playoffs is if the Bills go on a run and win, the remainder of their games, have two or so losses, because they have that head to head with the Dolphins. But I just don't see they're what, 2 games, a game and a half.
They're a 1 game. So actually they're a half a game because they do that.
So it's a game. Well, they're 6-3. The Bills are 5-5. So right. The Bills have already had their bye. So, Dolphins could be 1 game or 2 games, depending on how they play on that week that, when the Bills have their bye or whatnot. So that'll kind of tell there. But we'll see. I think the Dolphins still win this division as of right now.
All right, so James says Vegas just shifted the line to 13.5 for the Dolphins over the Raiders. Was that an increase or a decrease? I'm kind of curious. But Ron says the Dolphins RT Austin Jackson lines up versus Crosby has given up 0 sacks all season long. There's a good stat. So Max Crosby might put pressure, but he doesn't get sacked. But so the right tackle of Austin Jackson for the Dolphins has not given up a sack all season long. Ooh. David says, go Chargers. What's up, David? Arthur Brown says,
David.
What?
Nothing but Chargers.
Yeah.
I love David. Nothing but Chargers.
Yeah, hey.
Every time.
That man's loyal to his roots. Arthur Brown says, Jim is looking for a redemption for the Raiders, but not this week, Jim. Sorry. Listen, me as a Chiefs fan, I am not going to hide my fandom at all. I am a Chiefs fan. I am rooting for the Miami Dolphins this weekend because I don't want the Raiders to get hot. I do not want the Raiders to even have a chance thinking that they can beat the Kansas City Chiefs because Raiders and Chiefs always play very, very well versus each other. And if the Raiders come into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs in a playoffs games, I'm going to be so pissed off. Like I legit might quit the man hour because I don't think I can take that heat. So come on, Dolphins. Come on, Dolphins. Damn it, win.
Don't leave me by myself, Buck. The world doesn't want that.
David says, I think the Dolphins are going to smoke them. I think it's going to be a very, very good game. I think it is going to be a good game. Jim says, Austin Jackson hasn't played the Condor. Is that what you guys are calling Max Crosby as the Condor? Good Lord. Get out of here with that crap. Hoffy, are you ready to do some pick'ems, man?
Let's go. Let's have at it.
Let's get some nice
research. I'm doing it on the fly.
Some nice melody music. I'm not going to hold you to these picks. I will get your picks from you Saturday afternoon, like just like always. But let's repick Thursday night game. Bengals versus Ravens. Who do you got?
Ravens.
Are you sure you don't want to go with the Bengals?
I'm not making that mistake again.
I did, and I will do it again as well.
I did too.
First game up here, 1:00 p.m. on CBS. We had the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Who do you got?
Cleveland.
I like the Cleveland Browns as well. I think DTR is going to go off, and they're kind of in a playoff mode right now. They're like win, 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 win. Chicago Bears and Tyson Bagent, the man, the myth, the legend, taking on the most underrated quarterback in the NFL, Jared Goff, and the Detroit Lions. Who do you got?
The Bears are going to lose this game.
Okay. I'm picking the Lions as well. I think it's going to be a blowout. Chargers taking on the Packers, traveling to Lambeau Field. Who do you got?
Going Chargers.
You know, I've been wanting to go with the Packers all season long. And give me the Chargers. Damn it. Chargers on the road at Lambeau in the snow. Yeah, they're going to win. Raiders taking on your Miami Dolphins.
So Jim and John, I don't know. They got me convinced now. I think I'm going to have to go against the grain.
You're going Raiders?
I'm going with the Dolphins.
Okay, there you go. There you go. I'm picking Dolphins as well. I think the Dolphins are kind of in a must-win situation. I believe it was James said earlier, I think the Raiders are going to come back down to earth a little bit and realize, like, hey, we are a good team. We're just not there yet. This is the game of the week here. The New York Football Giants take on the Washington Commanders. Who do you got?
Commanders. Sam Howell's leading the NFL. He's going to have a big game against that suspect Giants defense, if you want to call it suspect.
Listen, how weird is this to sound, but the Commanders are squarely in a playoff hunt. They are sitting at like 9 or 10 seed right now. They need all the easy wins they can get. And if they lose this game, I'm going to give a hot take right now. If the Commanders lose to the New York Football Giants this weekend, River Ron is out. But I think the Commanders do win. Dallas Cowboys traveling to Charlotte, North Carolina, to take on the Panthers. Who do you got?
Ooh, that's a good one. Said nobody ever. That's going to be a Cowboys ass whooping.
Listen, I have been deemed a Cowboy lover. Got a Cowboys poster right there, Hoffy. But for whatever reason, the Cowboys always struggle against the Carolina Panthers. And I don't know what it is, but I'm picking the upset. I think the Carolina Panthers will beat the Dallas Cowboys this weekend. Tennessee Titans take on the Jaguars. Who do you got?
Jaguars.
I like the Jaguars as well. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to ball out, unfortunately. Arizona Cardinals take on the Houston Texans.
This is a must-win if the Texans want to win their division. I think it's going to be a great game to see C.J. Stroud versus Kyler Murray. This might be one where I flip-flop, by Saturday. But right now, I'm going to take the Texans.
Yeah, just like you, I'm kind of flip of the coin, right? Has the general manager been in Kyler Murray's ear like, hey, if you want to be on this team, you better lose this game, right? But obviously, Kyler Murray, I think he is out of Arizona either way, shape, or form. No matter what. So he's playing for his next contract. Give me the Cardinals on this one in the upset. Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on the 49ers at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California.
Baker Mayfield is not going to be able to be a dog in this game. And even if he is a dog, that's not going to be enough to beat this 49ers. I think they're clicking. I think after this bye week, they figured it out. They're clicking on their all cylinders again. I think the 49ers are going to put a beat down on the Buccaneers.
The only thing that will stop the 49ers moving forward to a Super Bowl victory this season is injuries. And right now they are healthy. Give me the 49ers 100%. Division rival taking on AFC East, the New York Football Jets. America's game of the week taking on the Buffalo Bills. Who do you got?
Is it really America's game of the week?
I think so.
Man, I think America's game of the week should be the Eagles and the Chiefs because we're going to have Miss Swift in attendance. We're going to have her parents meeting the Kelsey parents. I mean, it's going to be a big, huge, family reunion or family meeting, So, but I'm taking the Bills. I think that they're, we've seen these coach changes. I mean, I know it's not a head coach, it's the offensive coach, but I think that the offense is just going to come out guns a-blazing and they're going to do enough to beat the Jets.
I agree. Buffalo Bills in a 17-10 win. Seattle Seahawks take on the Los Angeles Rams. Who do you got?
Seahawks.
I like the Seahawks as well. They're playing really good football. Then, Sunday Night Football. Final game we're picking tonight. Minnesota Vikings travel to Mile High Stadium to take on the Denver Broncos. Two of the hottest teams in the NFL. 5 wins and 3 wins in a row, respectively. Who do you got? Skull Nation. 6 wins in a row. It is very, very tough to play at Mile High Stadium. The Denver Broncos have beaten the Buffalo Bills. They have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs. And they are going to beat the Minnesota Vikings as well to give you 4 wins in a row. And that'll be their final win of the season because that was officially been their Super Bowl. But guys, that is going to be it for today's show. I'm picking the Broncos. Hoffy's got the Vikings. Monday Night Football is coming up. We'll talk about that Monday. Eagles take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Great week of football coming up. Enjoy your weekend. Next week is going to be a little bit of hit and miss on the shows. But Stu 10, be sure to follow the page. Like, comment, subscribe. Hoffy, send us out.